and I'm glad we're all here. Thank you to all the invited speakers and all the attendants. Thank you for the ICI team. I can see every one of us. Um, how are we all? I can see we're all muted, so you might not hear me, but if you can just wave just to make sure we're here. Cool. Thank you. And before I go on, I would like to quickly acknowledge the land we're having this event on. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot First Nation tribes of Siksika, the Piikani, the Gaina, the Stoney Nakoda, First Nation tribes of Chiniki, VS4, and Wesley, and the Sutina, sorry, First Nation. The city of Calgary is also home to the historic Northwest Métis and to Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. It's a privilege to have this event on this land, so we're paying our due respect. Thank you very much for joining us. We have a full house today because the reason why we're doing this, why we're having this event specifically for actors, it's like we cannot really fully go into details of all the experiences we've had, both personally and from other people who need information, who kind of like want that connection. They don't know how it obtains yet because acting in different countries differ, right? So when newcomers come to a new place, they don't know if they have to be a part of an organization or they can be freelance or they have to be theater or they have to be in film. They don't know if there is any organization that kind of gives them resources in terms of support for equipment, things like that. If they want to start into theater, where do they start from? Do they go from one audition to the other? Some, I've actually been to a lot of auditions and they're like, oh, nobody talks to me, nobody picks me. Is it because of the way I speak? Is it because of something? People are not really sure. So we got to a point where we're like, we needed to do something specifically for this sector. And of course, we've had people who got scammed based on agency issues and things like that. And I've had discussions with everybody that is a guest on today's event. And I know you have an idea of what I'm talking about. So definitely, I'm glad that we're all able to make it. I will be inviting the guests one after the other so that they can express themselves on their own area of specialization. And if you have any question at any time, you can send into the chat. I want you all to know that after the event, we will be sending out some information that will be passed on to us from the guests. So some resources. I know Eric sent me an email. I've not read it, but I know I saw something about resourcing on it. And if the contact of some of our guests would also be shared with you so that if you need to reach out to them for more information, please feel free to do so. We know that a lot of times people are a little hesitant. They don't want to send those emails, but trust me, our guests are very, very free and welcoming, and they would reply to your emails if you just reach out. So at the end of the event, they're going to be providing their emails. I personally will make sure that I send their information out. Feel free to ask them questions in this event or after the event. You want to know anything at all about their area of specialization, please feel free. Thank you, Taylor, for joining us. Thank you, Geraldine. Thank you, Bernice. I'm going to go ahead to introduce our very first guest today, and it's Kizzy Sutton. I'm just going to read her profile here. She's an engaging art and community professional and is happy to be returning to her roots in film as executive director of CSIF. She holds a diploma in broadcasting, radio, and television from the School of Communication Arts at Seneca College and Bachelor of Arts honors degree in theater and film studies from Queen's University. Kizzy has applied her education to a gamut of capacities, both here in Canada, including lighting and sound design, dramaturge, production management, directing, youth mentorship, and programs management at a number of art and public sector organizations in Toronto, Ontario, and Northern Alberta, and internationally. Now, Kizzy will be speaking, will be providing more information about the Calgary Society of Independent Filmmakers today. If you have any question, like I said, at the end of the event, or even while she's speaking, put it in the group. I will take care of it and take notes, send them to her, or you can reach out to her yourself. Thank you. Over to you, Kizzy.
There we go. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Kizzy Sutton, as Toyin just shared. I want to really make it clear and open that it's not just for say. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. Please reach out to us again if after this meeting or a week from now, a month from now, you come up with a question. Don't think there's a time limit on when you can reach out, just reach out. So Toyin, will it be okay if I share my screen?
Definitely. Are you able to? Or,
I see the button. So let's try it.
Please go ahead.
Awesome.
Yeah, try. If not, I can make you the host momentarily.
It says the host has disabled. So yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay. We will make you the host. You have all the power.
Awesome. I've got the power. Fantastic. I am going to share my screen. Awesome. I wonder if this is brilliant. Okay, so I want to bring you guys to our main website just so that you can taste and see, if you will. There we go. To our main webpage. So again, CSIF is not only a spot for performers and actors. We support pretty much all sides of the filmmaking experience. So this is our main website right here, and you can just read that's pretty much our mission right there, to help those of you who may not be aware of your storytelling abilities to get in touch with them. We will provide education so that you can learn to do whatever it is that you want to do, and we will help you tell the stories that you want to tell in your voice. So again, we have a number of streams. So we have educational portions through our organization, and our education normally comes from workshops, panel discussions, and our clubs. I'm going to jump right over to our clubs first, because right now those are the ones that are still active. We do have an actors club and we have a screenwriting club. And the difference between a club and a workshop, clubs are free to attend and workshops are for a fee. The level of training that you get in the club is more, I guess it's more, I would say that you're learning more from your peers and you're getting feedback from your peers, whereas our workshops, we have vetted and hired an instructor that will teach you that specific skill set. I think the importance of our clubs are very important, because you can finish a workshop, feel confident that you know what you want to do, but when it comes time to execute, you might need some support. So the clubs are there to help you get your feet on the ground, work with like-minded people so that you can really feel confident and secure before you go out and do your own project on your own. One of the things I want to flag, since the focus of this meeting is for our actor types. We also have a club which is Remaking a Scene. So the Remaking of the Scene club is both half acting and half production. So if you're interested in acting, you can join our actors club, but you can also join our Remaking a Scene club. Again, just to give you some of the diversity in the way different people decide to direct and envision telling their story. For those of you that are actors, but you're thinking, hey, you know what? I would really like to see if I can tell my story, and you want to try to be a director. Again, I find our clubs are really good for that. It's a soft spot for you to try things out, and you're going to be learning with your peers. So it's a much safer environment, rather than once you've spent your money, you got your actors, and now you're learning on the go. So I want to make sure that I flag that there's value in our clubs and there's value in our workshops. Your next question might be, okay, Kizzy, how do I then access such workshops and clubs? Well, great question, and let me answer that for you. if you go to our About page and go down to membership, my internet is a wee bit slow, so I ask for your grace. So yeah, right now, thanks to not only innovation due to COVID, but CSIF's desire to be as inclusive as possible, you can become a member through our website right now. So you can join and just follow these 3 easy steps. If you take a look at our Take Our New Member orientation, there is that link right there that you can go to. I'm not going to select it right now because I don't want to go through the whole becoming a member orientation, but that information is there for you. And then you can also pay your membership fees by sending it through email money transfer. So I'm going to give you the full price of what a membership costs with us. So the associate level membership is $40, and our production level membership is $60. Your next question might be, well, why would I want to be one versus the other? So right off the bat, if you have not been a member with CSIF, we encourage you to jump in at the associate level so that we can get to know you, you can get to know us, and we can see how best we can work together to support whatever it is that you want to do. Once you've been with us for a little bit, you can then upgrade your membership to a production level membership. So you get a discount, excuse me, in the associate level membership, you have a discount on our workshops. So we have 3 tiers of pricing for our workshops. We have the general public, we have the associate level, and then you have the production level. Based on our general public amount, there is a discount for the associate member at 1 level, and then the discount for the production level member is on top of the associate, membership. Right now, our membership fees are $40 for the associate and $60 for our production level. However, right now, since how we're trying to encourage as many people as possible to stick with us during this whole COVID-like times, our memberships are on sale. So we've cut the price in half to make sure that our members, A, if they have not been able to work in a long time, don't feel that they have to invest their full fee right now. We're pretty much waiving the repayment of the other half of that membership, if you will. So right now, our associate level memberships are $20 and our production level memberships are $30. So if you were to jump in right now at an associate level, you'd pay the first $20. And then if you said, hey, Kizzy, you know what, this is where I want to be. I found my people. How do I invest a little bit more? And you want to upgrade to a production level, you'd only have to pay another $10, because right now our memberships for the production level is $30. So if you're thinking about it and you're not really sure, I would definitely say come peruse through our website. And until we open up full scale, we plan to have our membership levels discounted. So again, you don't have to make your decision tonight. I'm not going to hard sell you that the first 5 people that register, it's not the case. Take a look at what your timelines are, take a look at your budget, and you can reach out to us via either the web or send me an email. Second to that I want to just flag is if the $20 or the $30 is still a barrier, please reach out to me. We can see what we can do, because we might be able to do sort of a barter system where you donate some of your time to support CSIF, and then we can put that donation of time towards your membership fees. One of the things that I really was impressed with, as Toyin graciously said, when people come to this country, and not just this country, but Calgary specifically, it's hard to find the people who are your people. So if you have any interest whatsoever in acting or film-based or digital-based storytelling, we are your people. Please check us out. We want to know more about you, and we want to figure out ways to support you. So I guess the last thing I want to share is that through CSIF, you will not only be able to work on your own projects, but you can help support other people with their projects. So much like our clubs is a soft way for you to learn, if you want to actually have hands-on experience on one of our members' productions, that's also available to you. So as a member of CSIF, you'll be put into a network of, we have over 250 members right now. So you'll be put into that network so that you can reach out to folks and say, hey, I see that you have a program, excuse me, you have a production going on in about 3 to 4 weeks. Is there anything that I can do to help support you? And that will go vice versa. If some of our members who are putting on a production are looking for help, they will post that into our Slack, which is one of the tools that we use for our members to communicate with each other. So they can either put calls out that they're looking for actors, or you as an actor type can say, hey, I am an actor and I'd like to offer my skills. So we really do try to push the community feel of the organization so that you are, as a member, empowered to reach out to our other members, and also feel the support as it goes 2 ways. So I have chatted about our various educational streams, so workshops, clubs, and working on other people's productions. The other tool, I guess, is we have a library of books that are specific to filmmaking. We do have a couple of books that speak specifically to acting for film, because it is different than acting for theater. And as a member, you of course can use our library. It's another resource for you. So if you're more on the shy side and you want to just kind of dip your toes in slowly, you know, you can get on Slack and meet people that way. And then you can just borrow some of our books. And the borrowing of the books, it is free. We do say if you do not return the book, we will ask you to replace the book. So, you know, govern yourselves accordingly. I don't want you to have to spend money that you don't need to right now. And I guess, sorry, I said that was going to be the last thing, but one more last thing. As a part of CSIF, we are looking at ways to partner with other organizations. So for example, Toyin, if you wanted to make a video that addresses, you know, how to be an actor when you're new to Canada, we can probably support a peer-to-peer organization to help make sure and facilitate that we can share that information outside of these live sessions. So let's also think about that. And if you represent another organization that would benefit from the assistance to create your own promotional video, please let me know. Please reach out to us, because we do have members that want to work, but they don't have a project in mind. So we are looking at trying to find new projects for our younger members. And when I say younger, I don't mean in age, I just mean experience level. So if you've been in the filmmaking community for, you know, 6 months, 1 year, up to 2 years, you may not feel as experienced as those of us that have been in the industry for like 10 years plus. So that is also a resource for you to be able to pull on, so that we can, again, get you out there, trying out the various positions. You can see if there's a story that you want to tell, or if you want to be a part of someone else's story. We do our best to help mix and match our members. And I think, oh, one last thing I wanted to share is, again, Sans CSIF, we also host a number of networking sessions. So if you do find that on Slack you're meeting people and you're vibing and you want to actually meet them in person, we do also host networking sessions. Right now, we are looking at hosting our networking sessions online. We haven't quite figured out yet exactly how that's going to work, but please do keep your eye on either our website or our social media channels. We have Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So you can also reach out to us and connect with us there. And I guess my last plug is, once you are a member, you will be invited to our networking sessions. You'll also be invited to our AGM, which will be coming up next month, so that you too can participate in how CSIF goes about supporting you as a member. So I guess that's my quick and dirty how CSIF can support newcomers, specifically as it relates to acting for film and or television. But I know Tina's gonna have a lot more tips for you, because she's right in there with that. So I put my email address in the chat. I will be popping out, not right away, but I do have another meeting. So if I've left before you can ask me your question, please reach out to me. I have already put my email address in the chat box.
Thank you, Kizzy.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problems.
Really grateful, but I can't seem to find your email though. Is it just me? Can any other person see her email?
Ha ha ha!
I can
You know
put
what?
it there, though.
No. I see what I did. I said I was going to give you my email, but I didn't actually put my email. So
Oh, okay. Okay, so please do.
let me do that.
Okay. I'm glad. Thank you
No
so much
worries.
for saying that. And particularly, I'm glad that you mentioned the collaboration of other artists working with others, and that is very important. So that I believe, I mean, from my experience, it's like it's easier for people to work with people who they also know are immigrants or are newcomers and things like that. It might help, you know, mentally to facilitate that kind of relationship. So yeah, I'm very grateful that you're saying that. Thank you very much, Kizzy. And now, okay, Selena, can you make sure everybody's muted, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Actually, I can't right now because I'm not the host. But
Oh,
as
okay.
soon
So
as
Kizzy has to
Kizzy
change that.
brings me back, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you would have to do
Yes,
that.
please take back.
Oh, would you be able to just hover, like put your mouse over my name? It's at the top, Selena with a C, and you just go to more and say make host.
Oh, done.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks for that.
Thank you for that. I'm not a techie person, so let Selena kind of put you through that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you again, Kizzy. Yeah, we're gonna be going to Tina, and it is such a huge pleasure to have Tina today, because in the name of Actra, I know in my head like about 2 or 3 people since I got here in the last since 2017 who, in the name of Actra, have been scammed. Like, oh, we're gonna get you to join Actra if you pay us a certain money and we do some training for you. I personally know people, and I know there are others that I don't even know. So I'm so glad that she's here to kind of like clarify a couple of things about who Actra is, if you need to be a part of them, if you need to join, why you need to join, is it something you need to pay money for? Is it something that is free? Why? What is the purpose and everything like that? So yeah, quickly introducing Tina here. Tina has been a member of the Alberta film, television, and digital industry for over 20 years. She currently works as the branch representative for Actra Alberta, and has volunteered on the board of Calgary Society of Independent Filmmakers and Herland. Prior to working for Actra, Ms. Alford worked for Alberta Film and Provincial Film Commission and ran the Calgary office as the locations and logistics manager. Thank you very much, Tina, for being here today. Over to you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And I just want to say, like, I've got a 13-year-old poodle sleeping at my feet who is a bit snory. So if you heard some weird noises, it's just my dog. It's my little dog, Della. Anyway, so what is Actra? So Actra, we are a union that represents professional performers across the country. Right now we have 27,000 members across the country. And in Alberta, we're just inching towards 1,000 members. So hopefully by the end of the summer, we'll hit that 1,000 mark, which is really exciting. So basically, we represent performers that work in recorded media. So that's basically anything in front of a camera, in front of a mic, and video games, voiceover. And our performers are stunt coordinators, puppeteers, announcers, you name it, anybody who's performing in recorded media. So we're one branch. There's branches all across the country. And our main goal is to have collective agreements and work with producers. And in those collective agreements, we ensure that there's fair working conditions for performers. So we've got a number of agreements, and they range, from low budget, independent, a whole bunch of people wanting to come together and shoot a little short film on a Saturday where there's no budget to pay performers, all the way up to, the big Netflix series like Black Summer that's shooting here, or the Canadian television series Heartland, for example, that Rhonda works on and helps cast. Yeah. So, okay, how to become a member. The way you become a member is to get a gig on an Actra project. So basically you submit your audition, and right now, of course, due to COVID, there's not any in-person, in the room auditions going on. It's all done through self-tape. So you submit your audition to the production, to somebody like Rhonda Fasecki, who's a casting director. You know, and you know, you're seen by a whole bunch of people, and Rhonda's going to get into the process of it. But then if you do get a job on the show and you're an actor in the show, then that's considered a professional engagement. And so once you get that engagement, there is a fee, a permit fee, and that again, that ranges from $25 up to $260. Obviously, the more money you're making on your performance engagement, the higher the permit fee is. The permit fee there is to basically, it makes you a temporary member on that project to ensure that you get all the working conditions, residuals, and all the protections that an actor member has. So once you get that engagement, then the union will invite you to join. And you have a certain amount of time. I mean, in Alberta, we're pretty, you know, I'm pretty, you know, I'm a nice person. So I think nationally it's 30 days. We can be a little bit flexible. So yeah, so then you contact us, you sign up to join. And then over the course of your career, you work from being an apprentice member, you get a couple more engagements, and then you can become a full member. Becoming a full member means you can run for the local council, you can vote on bylaw changes. Yeah, so that's kind of the structure and a fast track on how you become a member with ACTRA. So I just want to go back to you know, some of the advantages of being an ACTRA member. Like I mentioned, we strictly enforce working conditions on sets. Sets, of course, you know, film and television sets, they're not sort of your 9 to 5 hour day. They tend to run 10 to 12 to 16, sometimes 18 hours a day. And so when that happens, we need to make sure that the performers are safe, you know, that there's water, that there's food, that there's a place for them to rest, that there's washrooms, believe it or not. Making sure that there's a washroom on a set is actually one of the top 5 things that we do have to enforce. A lot of our shooting happens in the summer and out on location, so we want to make sure that the performers, and this includes background performers, aren't sitting out in the sun, getting sunstroke, that they've got a comfortable place to stay. And of course, now with COVID, and as the production community here is gearing up, we are definitely keeping an eye on best practices and falling in line with the federal and the provincial regulations when it comes to working. And obviously with performers, we're in a very unique situation because our people aren't going to be, in some cases, aren't going to be allowed to have masks or keep social distancing when they're performing in a scene. So we've got some rules around that and rules around, you know, how many people can be sort of in zone 1 around our performers when they're not masked and when they are incredibly vulnerable. So we're working on that. Yeah, so working conditions, some of the things we do nationally is we are a rather large cultural union and at the fight of fighting for culture and making sure that culture is an important, I've just totally lost my train of thought, is important in Canada. I mean, we have a lot of alliances. We work quite closely with the Canadian Actors Equity, so with Val and her team over there. Yeah, so we do a ton of that stuff here locally. We run a ton of workshops, self-tape workshops. Some are available to not just members, but we open it up to the entire performing community. Because I believe that even though if you're not an actor member yet, you will be one day. So we want to make sure we have the strongest pool of performers here in Alberta as possible. Also interesting about ACTRA is a lot of our members work both in film and television or in the screen industry, but they also work in theater as well. So they're also dual members of Canadian Actors Equity and ACTRA. And I think if you want to be a working performer in this province, you know, we're a smaller jurisdiction. It's definitely, you know, if you have the chops to do it, that's definitely, you know, the way to go, because then you can kind of flip between working in film and TV. You can do some radio commercials, and then you might get a gig working on stage. So there's a lot of our members that do that. You know, they're not getting rich at doing it, so don't think you're going to be the next Ryan Reynolds or something and raking in $50 million a movie. But okay, so that's that. I would go to share my screen, but people can get to our website. It's just actraalberta.com. There's a ton of information on there on you know, how you become a member, how you find a talent agent. We'll get into that in a second. Yeah, and just who the casting directors are, which shooting, because that's really important. And that's going to segue into my scam rant, as I like to call it, because there are a lot of people out there, even in our small jurisdiction, there's a lot of people out there that want to take advantage of people trying to get into acting, into becoming a performer. So, you know, it's really important to, you know, if you see something on the internet or something on Kijiji saying that there's, you know, they can help you get a role to be a background performer in this big movie, most of the time, that's not necessarily true. And I'd probably say 50 to 65% of the time, the shows that they're promoting actually aren't shooting here at all. So it's really important to use our website just as a resource to go see if this is actually a legit project. So when it comes to finding a talent agent, again, there's some serious scammers out there. The ones that are listed on our website have signed an ethical code of conduct, which has been put together by our local branch along with guidelines, the national guidelines through the Talent Agent Association of Canada. So basically it's, you know, it's how talent agents should treat their performers. And again, I can't stress enough, talent agents work for the talent, not the other way around. So when you're looking for a talent agent, you're essentially shopping for a talent agent, and you need to make sure that, you know, you like that person, they're on our website, they're following the ethical rules, and that you shouldn't be pressured into signing with an agent at all. Any agent who says, you know, you got to sign with me right now this second, or I'm never, you know, or you're going to be dead in this industry. I've had agents say that, like you'll never work here again. That's garbage. It's baloney. Don't believe it. So if you are looking for an agent, go to our website, reach out to 2 or 3 agents, set up some meetings, you know, probably over the phone or over Zoom, and just, you know, have a conversation with them. And that's that way you'll be protected, and always get a contract. Make sure you sign a contract with the agent that sets out the terms, how much you're going to pay them in commission for finding you work. You want to make sure that there's a clause so you can get out of it, right? So that you can just say, you know what, it's not working out anymore. Usually there's like a timeline around that, like you have to give them 2 weeks notice, but make sure there's a contract in place, because if there isn't, it could really bite you down the road, especially when it comes to certain things like commission or them, you know, taking your residual checks and you never seeing any money. The other thing about scams is, okay, I'll try to be calm here because it really gets my blood boiling. The guys and gals that show up usually at airport hotels claiming that, you know, you can come in, do an audition. They usually have like performers, they have some named performers that maybe had acted in one movie like 5 or 10 years ago, or that were child stars, and now they're grown adults. So they kind of use that to lure you in. So you go there, you audition, they say, oh my God, you're the greatest in the world. You may never have acted a day in your life. Next thing you know, they're gonna call you back the next day and ask you for $2,000, $5,000, $6,000, and tell you that you need to take all their classes if you want to be an actor in Alberta, or that you have to go down to the States to take acting classes to be a performer in Alberta. Garbage, pure garbage. That's not the way it works. I mean, sure, I'm not gonna lie, like some, you know, you hear about some movie stars that get famous after that first gig, and maybe haven't done any formal training. But the reality is that's not the case. If you want to be a working performer, you need to take some workshops. You actually have to have some talent. You have to be able to know when you're in front of a camera where the mark is, and actually how to act. And that's a skill that has to be learned. So yeah, don't sign up for those fly-by-nighters. And the thing is, Google is your best friend when it comes to this, because if you see these ads, they're on Kijiji, they promote themselves a lot on Facebook. Just Google that company, and you'll be able to find on Reddit or on Better Business Bureau sites. There's a ton of scam sites, that you'll probably find that those people are known scam artists. So just be careful. And unfortunately, in Alberta, we don't have regulation when it comes to those kind of talent searches or talent agents. Some of the other provinces do. We're not there yet. Obviously, we're trying to get there, but because in BC, for example, a lot of those shenanigans can't happen because they have to be registered with the province, and there's significant fines for scamming performers. So again, just going back to our website's got just a ton of information. It's actraalberta.com. On the website, you can find my contact information or some of my colleagues' contact information, and feel free to reach out, because even if you're not a member, we want you to be a member, and whatever we can do to help you become a member is definitely a priority for us. There you go.
Oh no, it seems maybe we have lost Toyin in the process.
Actually,
Oh no, are you there? Oh no, yeah, you
Yeah.
are. Okay, sorry, I was like, where is Toyin?
no, I was just trying to drop a message. Can you still hear me? Okay. It's so quiet here. Can somebody speak up? It's like I feel disconnected. Okay,
No,
cool.
you're good.
I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tina. So much details in there. I hope we all got that, because it's like every little detail of the information she gave, every tiny bit is useful at different times for different people. If you want to be a member of ACTRA, those first things that she said, you will need to do them. If you don't want to be, fine, you can still be an actor, you can still do your thing, but those are the advantages you're going to get. Now, she also mentioned about shopping for agencies and things like that. If you want to use an agency, please go ahead, make sure you do your due diligence. But I thank you for the examples you gave. Thank you for those explaining that there are people who would, once you get into their office, they would make sure they talk you into paying for a class, either to change your accent or to do, I mean, they always come up with something that you should pay for before you leave. So I'm glad that you said that, and I thank you very much for all those information. Really, really very useful for us. I'm gonna go over now to Jenna, and I'm excited to have Jenna. I'm gonna tell you why, because when we're putting this event together, it was very, very important that we create a balance for both theater and film. And we know that a lot of people, I personally, I do both. Some people do just theater, some people do just film. So it was important for us to have that balance and to make sure that we have the right information, okay? Jenna is here today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She's a mixed race dramaturg and director based in Calgary. She's the founding artistic director of Chromatic Theater, a company dedicated to producing and developing work by and for artists of color. She is the dramaturg for the Playwrights Lab at the Bath Center for Arts and Creativity. She is also an art equity advocate, an active member of the Consent and Respect in Theater, CART Collective, the Vice President of Equity, Diversity and Inclusion for LMDA, and the Board Chair for Theater Alberta. You see, it's such a privilege to have her. Now, beyond the Bath Center, Jenna has had the pleasure of dramaturging work at the Kennedy Center, Lunchbox Theater, Chromatic Theater, and Fujin Theater. Jenna is the recipient of the 2018 Lieutenant Governor's Award for Emerging Artists. and is one of the 2018-19 MTS Artistic Leadership Resident. Jenna holds a master's and a MA in International Performance Research from the Universities of Amsterdam and Tampere. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So Jenna will be providing an overview of what it is like to be in theater, what it looks like in Calgary for you as an actor. She has experience, you've heard what I just said about her experience, and she'll be giving us a very good overview of what her experience is like. Thank you very much, Jenna, for coming here today. I really appreciate it. Over to you now.
Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks, Toyin, for a lovely introduction. And yeah, thanks to Kizzy and Tina for kicking it off with such a warm and friendly conversation. As you heard from my bio, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. I tend to have my fingers in a lot of pots. And when I was thinking about what specifically it is that I would want to say to actors, there's a whole lot of information out there. So in theater, one of the things that is maybe useful to know, and I mean, is that we work on a bit of an annual cycle in the city of Calgary. And so COVID has changed everything, and everything is a little bit up in the air right now. But the information I'm going to give you is like what a typical year in Calgary, a typical cycle in Calgary might look like. And so what's important to know if you want to audition for theater, typically general auditions will happen in January. General auditions are auditions that are for you to meet a theater company. So when we're looking at like big theater companies in Calgary, that looks like Theatre Calgary, that looks like Alberta Theatre Project, that looks like Vertigo Theatre, that looks like Lunchbox Theatre, like any theater that sort of programs a season or has a venue. They'll typically do their general auditions in January. So anyone can sign up for those. And all of those theaters particularly are interested in building relationships with artists of color. And so all you have to do to sign up for those is keep an eye out on their websites, and you'll just be asked to send in a headshot and a resume. So headshot's just a photo of you. You can see a lot of the folks who have their cameras turned off have things that would work beautifully as a headshot in their place. And then a resume that sort of outlines your performance experience. And I remember talking to Toyin about this, like I think that ICAI has organized some like resume workshops and things like that. But lots of artists also have their resumes on their web pages. So if there's like actors that you're a fan of in Calgary, you can look at the template that they use for their resume. You can kind of copy a template like that. When I think of it afterwards, I can drop a couple of, I don't know, actor resume templates in the chat or something like that. Make a note of that. So that's like how you would get to know some of the professional theaters. The general auditions are great. It's a chance to meet the artistic director. And then what happens is if if you have a good audition, they might invite you to come back and audition for some of their season shows. And their season shows tend to have their auditions in February, March, April, maybe as late as May. And so we have a sort of like winter to spring audition season where lots of stuff happens. And so the best way usually to hear about those auditions also, Valerie Planche is going to talk about, I'm sure, in a little bit, which is through a mailing list with Canadian Actors Equity. So I won't say too much on that. I know she's going to provide you with lots of information. If you're a little bit nervous about like the professional theaters and you're looking for a way to get involved that doesn't conflict with like your day job, if you're looking to do some stuff in the evenings and weekends to maybe build up your resume, there's a really robust community theater scene in Alberta. And so one of the best ways to find out about auditions for community theater is through Theatre Alberta. And Theatre Alberta, I'll type it into the chat. Theatre Alberta has a classified section, which is totally free. And a ton of the stuff that comes through there is just audition notices, job postings in the theatre. And that's a really great place to just keep your eye on stuff. And typically anything that's community theatre that's posted in there will rehearse on evenings and or weekends. And so it won't interfere with your day job. And it's a great way to build your resume. Theatre Alberta, like CSIF, is also a membership-driven organization. They're a really cool organization that just released a pay what you can membership model. So their suggested individual membership is $40, but if you can't afford $40 right now, you can get a membership for free. What does a membership with Theatre Alberta get you? The biggest thing it gets you is access to their library. So they have a huge library of Canadian plays, and they will mail you those plays for free, and you can mail them back to them for free. And so if you're looking to just read a little bit more, learn a little bit more about like what Canadian plays are, or if you're like, I don't care about Canadian plays, but I want to read my like Nigerian playwright Wole Soyinka, they have a whole lot of his work as well. They have a whole lot of, they have a huge, huge theater library, and to be able to access it for free is the biggest benefit of membership. Yeah, they also have a mailing list. They have lots of other things, but they're a very, very great resource if you're looking to be more involved in theater. From my perspective, I run an indie theater company called Chromatic Theater. What is indie versus like professional? Indie means we work and pay at professional rates, but we don't have a venue. So we maybe only produce one show a year, one show every 2 years. We don't have regular auditions. Like Kizzy, I want to get to know the community. I can pop my email address also in there, and I know Toyin was happy to share it. You can just shoot me an email. We can have a Zoom chat. We can have a socially distant coffee at some point. And I can talk to you a little bit more one-on-one about what it is like to be a theater artist. And there's no timeline. I think just like you said, it's better to reach out than not at all. So anytime that works for you. What I have going on with Chromatic that might be interesting is that we have a program, a free program called The Reading Rainbow, which is a straight ripoff of LeVar Burton's television show from the 1990s. But what we do is we gather usually about quarterly and we read a play. And so we've been doing it on Zoom throughout the last 4 or 5 months. It's a thing that's totally free. I will put up a play, I'll screen share it with everyone, and we just take turns reading it. It doesn't matter your level of English. It's a way to get to know the canon. It's a way to get to know some of the scripts that we're excited about. And it's an opportunity to get to know other artists of color in Calgary and start to build community. Usually there's like between 6 to 20 participants. And so if you want to join and watch and listen, but not read and just join in for the conversation, that is also fine. It's a really fun way to sort of build community, get to know each other. Again, we only do it about 4 times a year. And I'll drop a link for you here. And you can sign up directly through the website, and I'll get that email and I just put you on the mailing list so you find out next time it happens. So that's easy. And the other thing that Chromatic does that's like maybe interesting, a lot of the work, Chromatic Theater was started to develop and produce work by and for artists of color in Calgary. A lot of the work that I try to do is about advocacy. And so getting to know kind of a newcomer community is really high priority for me. I can't single-handedly certainly do everything or fix all the problems, but hearing from you helps inform how we take forward our next steps for advocacy and the initiatives that we're taking on in the community. And one of our largest initiatives to date has been something called the YYC Theater Stats Project. And so one of the things that we've been doing for the last 2 years has been compiling statistics of people of color in professional theater in Calgary. The statistics I mean, they don't really, they just paint a picture that there's still a bit of a discrepancy in this city, that Black, Indigenous, and people of color are hired at much lower rates in the arts than our white colleagues. And part of tracking those statistics isn't to depress people, but rather to make a case to larger theater companies and to funding bodies that they need to change their hiring practices, and that we need to encourage a little bit more open-mindedness and a little bit more expansive thought in terms of what our artistic landscape looks like. And so you can click around on our website and look that stuff up, but the whole goal of that is to make more space, because actors like all of you are folks we need to see more of, and I'm very, very passionate about that. So yeah, that's a bit about what I'm doing, as well as a bunch of ways to get involved with theater in the province. And I think I can leave it at that, because I know that I have some colleagues who are going to say some really excellent things as well.
Thank you, Jenna. Thank you so much. Thank you for breaking things down. Thank you for explaining. And thank you for speaking about chromatic theater too. And there's something she said I really want to buttress. I know personally that a lot of people want to reach out, but like I've discussed with most of you, I remember myself and Valerie, we had a long time talking about that. A lot of people want to reach out, but they're not sure if they should or not. I said this at the beginning, I'm saying it again, I'll keep saying it throughout this event. These guests are honestly willing to listen to you. Please reach out, please. Okay, Jenna just sent in her email. We have Kizzy's email. I'll put everything in one email and send it to you just to encourage everyone. Please reach out. We can't stress this enough. Please reach out. There is a wealth of information that it can give you that they might not be able to say everything in this event. But if you touch base with them, definitely you would be able to gain more knowledge. Okay. Thank you very much again, Jenna. And we'll be moving on. And at this point, I really want us to hear the experience of a producer, filmmaker, entrepreneur on his own personal journey as a filmmaker. The reason why I want to bring him at this point is because everybody has been kind of like speaking from the same point of view. He is like going to be speaking from another point of view of being a filmmaker himself. We have Eric Gonzalez. Did I pronounce it well?
Gonzalez. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Eric is a freelance filmmaker based in Calgary. He's a first-generation Canadian. Eric grew up in Trail, British Columbia, and produces videos for corporate and tourism clients in Alberta and BC. Eric will provide insights and background on his personal journey and making a living creating videos. You see why I had to bring him here? Not because he's a part of Actra or is a regular actor or is a part, no. Just because I want you to know that being a person of color and being a creative person entails so many things. There are some of us who are able to get regular day job in an organization that is a creative organization, in the arts organization. Some will really work for themselves throughout their career. So I just wanted to make sure that we have the different views and we can go from there at the end of this event. So, okay, Eric, enough of me, over to you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Toy. And I'm very humbled and honored to be sharing the stage with people that are established and experienced in their own field. And though I'm not in the actor world per se within Calgary, my background is very much in the production and trying to solicit work to produce videos predominantly for corporate and tourism and educational clients in Calgary and in British Columbia. Though I was a newcomer to Calgary in 2014 to pursue a bachelor's degree at the University of Calgary. So I came here without knowing anyone or really understanding the landscape when it came to film production. And I found the power of connecting with a lot of the different groups and being open to meeting new people and connecting with groups. And I'm a member of CSIF, which has been great to connect with people, and even on Facebook groups, and understanding and being confident to chat with each other, to know, to be comfortable to go out and seek, you know, a proposal, or to be able to know if you're getting a good rate for, you know, your work, or if, you know, something is a little fishy and you want to tap into your network. Having that network, I have found, and continues to be something now that I'm more in a position to have work, and I'm still very much in the early part of my career, to be hiring and collaborating more with other people. It is sort of been able to give back in order for that community. And that's really what I'd like to, you know, hone in on that. And I have found a lot of great connections have arisen even from, you know, being confident on Instagram or on LinkedIn, and being very particular on what you're trying to obtain, or what sort of information, and being somewhat specific and what you're trying to obtain. And when it comes to the corporate landscape and the filmmaking world, and the trends that I've seen, at least in producing content, and the content that I make is predominantly for online. It's not something that at this point will be on a film or at a screening on Netflix or anything of that sort. But I've noticed an interesting trend in trying to tell unexpected stories, and stories of a different perspective, which have opened up a lot of interesting conversations, and sharing the different people that make up our city. And I think businesses are open to showcasing and being more confident in being who they are, through sharing it on video. And though not all productions or commercials might need an actor, but certainly for screenwriters, or, you know, people that have an idea that a business might be able to support in some way, shape or form, I've seen an interesting shift in businesses being more open to supporting those stories. And I've had some luck in just pitching a simple story to businesses and organizations, and getting a nice response. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's it.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. I'm glad you shared that. And oh wait. And like I said, one of the reasons why I wanted him to share his experience is because most times I understand that newcomers want to get a job. You want to get something to survive on, or to feed your family on, pay your bills on. His perspective is something that I found very interesting, because you can start creating content as long as you know you're a talented person. CSIF is there, that's some CSIF, they're there. You can be a part of them so that you can get some support in equipment and working with other people. If you know you're not able to pay people yet, you can get people that are also members to work with you on projects, and you can grow from there. Create your own content day by day, and grow your community. Like Jenna said, grow your organically grow the people that follow you and follow your content online. It's all about being creative and making sure that you're involved in the community to get to know other people that are doing the same thing and things like that. So thank you very much for sharing that. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna go to our next guest here, and interestingly, I'm just gonna read a profile here for you. Leah is an award-winning producer. We have Leah Nicholson here. She's a producer, director, and writer with Downtime Productions, as well as a past president of the Calgary Society of Independent Filmmakers. So we have two presidents in our midst and directors. This is a very great event. She has completed many projects, including web series, music videos, and short films, including an original musical she produced, directed, entitled My Life is a Musical. The winner of the Alberta Film and Television Award at the 40th Annual Roses. Her project, Fiction, a half-hour television show, is a part of the CBC Comedy Coup program, and was selected as one of the top 50 new Canadian comedies. She is currently in development with several film and television projects, while continuing her work as a freelance director. Leah will be providing an overview of, what the movie and film industry looks like in Calgary, her own experience and her own journey, and her work with marginalized groups, so that we can have what that looks like for her. Leah is a very interesting speaker. I was on the phone with her for about an hour when we spoke, and I love her perspective because she has a lot of experience also working with people that are newcomers and minority groups. Welcome, Leah. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for saying that. Yeah, we could have talked for, I feel like, for a very long time about it. I think that some of the stories that people have touched on here before, about like being scammed and things like that, that's a very, very familiar story to me, unfortunately. A lot of people eventually, we find our way to each other, and that's kind of the first thing that they're exposed to in the film industry. And so I find that obviously very, very upsetting, and something that I definitely want to change. So I guess a part of my work just as a filmmaker has been tied pretty closely for a while now with my activism. I'm pretty active in anti-racism work. And so I found that as a filmmaker, and because of the voice I've been able to work with people and work for people and groups to help, marginalized communities and things like that. A lot of my work just in general as a filmmaker, I work with a lot of nonprofit groups, I work with other artists, and I've been very lucky to be able to do that. And so I guess just like from my perspective, when, new people are coming to Calgary to get work as actors, either in film or in theater. I've worked in both. I've been lucky enough to have done that. I think that it's important to, know that equity exists, know that Actra exists, and use the resources that they provide to make sure that you're working with people who are reputable, working with people who will respect you as, as an actor, as a performer, and as a person. And I think that filmmakers now, in general, and especially in independent film, I think we're kind of there's been a shift towards intentional casting and intentionally. And like I said, with my work in anti-racism, being intentional with who we're hiring, and even when we're doing like writing and things like that, being intentional with working with people from, either marginalized communities or things like that, to work with actors to integrate their stories into the scripts right at the beginning. So we're telling authentic stories, in collaboration, as opposed to telling stories about others. And so, even projects that I'm working on right now, we're putting together a series Bible, and we are discussing, with either with groups or with individuals that are from groups. Like we have one of our basically consultants is from the Siksika, reserve, and talking about his experience there and growing up there. So that we can incorporate that into part of our stories. And obviously, and through that, this has become like a core person in our creative team. And so both in front of it and behind the camera, we're looking for diversity, we're looking for interesting stories. And I think it's really important going forward, just in the film industry in general, but especially in Calgary, which is, it's a fairly white community. And I think, there absolutely is a need to expand beyond that, and to tell different stories, and to have different people in different creative positions, so that those stories are being told. Because I think, we've heard a lot of stories especially from like a lot of white guys, a lot of white men, and there are so many other stories out there, and that should be told. And so propping each other up, helping each other, working with people that maybe they are, I'm working with you know, people who are painters and who are, you know, designers, or who have previously worked in like tech and things like that, that have always, you know, thought, well, you know, I have this story, and, or I've always been interested in telling stories, but I never really thought that anybody would be interested in hearing what I have to say. And so I've been lucky to just kind of run into these people in my life. And now I'm realizing that that a better way to do that is to intentionally seek them out. And so even with part of my, I'm not sure if anyone is aware of Community Wise's AROC program, which is the Anti-Racist Organizational Change Program. So I was when they were first starting that out, I was one of the, basically, like, I guess, like, you know, starting members. And so I've been with them since the beginning, and that organization has done amazingly well. I'm so proud of the work that's been done there. Just to have been, you know, been privileged enough to work with that community. And what that community does is it's intentionally a program to combat, you know, racism, but especially in the nonprofit sector, and to instead of just being non-racist, being intentionally anti-racist, which means even in hiring policies and things like that, intentionally going out to communities and looking for people that maybe wouldn't have applied because, you know, that they don't think, oh, that they think maybe, you know, I don't have these qualifications, somebody will be more qualified than me, I won't apply for this. But intentionally, those are the people we want. We want people who are interested in the field, who are motivated, you know, to get into these positions so that we can have the diversity, not just for the sake of diversity, but because of the richness it brings to the community. Because we're better and we're stronger when we have different viewpoints, different opinions and things like that. And the same thing is true in film. And I'm sure, I'm not super active in theater, but I know that the theater community is, just that I found, is a very, very supportive community. Just in general, with even just sharing, like, hey, we have these, you know, leftover, you know, things, we have these leftover, you know, boards, or we have these leftover props or whatever. Does anyone need anything here? And I think that that kind of openness and sharing is something that we could expand upon in sharing knowledge, in sharing our experiences and what we have and what we know. And so, you know, as Toyin and I were discussing, I have a pretty extensive background now in grants and grant applications and things like that, and working with clients, and you know, going down that, you know, going down those paths. And so, what I always say is, any information that I have, any knowledge that I have, I am very willing to share. I want to share that information. There's nothing, you know, there's nothing precious to me. There's nothing that I know that I don't want others to know. There's no secrets. I don't have any special tips that I'm just keeping just for me. Anything that I know, I want to share. I want other people to know what I know. I want other people to have the opportunities that I have. And I want a community where everyone feels like they have a voice. And that's very much the way that I run, you know, productions that I am, you know, producing and things like that. I know that film has a pretty rigid hierarchy, and I have done away with it for the most part. I'm not sure, you know, if that is, I guess, no, you know what, I am sure it's the way to go. And so I think that everybody is there because they have a talent, have a passion, have an interest in it. And I think that they're, that, you know, and especially working, like the reason why, you know, or how Toyin and I even kind of cross paths is through Lanray. And I'm not sure if people on this kind of chat know Lanray Ajayi, but he is an amazing guy. He you know, he's a not a new immigrant now, but he's been here for a while. But somebody who has lived all over the world. He's from Nigeria originally, and he and I have a lot of you know, kind of projects now in the hopper, just that we are collaborating on. And he's a fashion designer, he's a painter, he's, you know, he's making films. He does My City Speaks to Me as part of as part of like Kata's like newsletter, if you guys get that. Sometimes his videos are in there. And so it's this very dynamic person that has raised the bar of what I want to do with my art, what I want to do with the stories I'm telling. And so it's things like that where I say that it is the strength of any community that you get new people in with new ideas, with a new energy. Because whenever I talk to him, I'm like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk, or I'm ready to do the next thing. I'm ready to get out there and shoot. And so it's those kind of things that I'm really excited about. And so just with people who are, listening to this today, who are, interested in acting, interested in telling their stories and things like that, obviously CSIF is a great resource. And I think that people should absolutely reach out to them, but also reach out to, like, when you're in that community, reach out to people. Because the thing is, if I get an email in my inbox or whatever, sometimes I just get like cold scripts and things like that. And so I usually, before I obviously, like, sending a cold script, probably don't do that. But do send an email introducing yourself, giving, talking about what your interests are and things like that. And like, I've never said no. I've never said, like, I'm not interested in ever meeting with you or talking with you. Like, I've never said that. And so that's the thing is, if you take, the chance at reaching out to people, I think that there's a really good chance, and especially in this community, which is such a small community, that you're going to find somebody that you connect with and that you can work with and that you'll want to work with. And so I think I guess my big thing is, don't be afraid. I know that especially for people who have been taken advantage of and things like that, only be afraid of somebody who asks for money, I guess, or pressures you into signing a contract that you're not comfortable with or things like that. Obviously be afraid of those people, but in general, don't be afraid to send that email. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to not know something. Not knowing something is one of the best things there is, because that leads you on a path to learning something you didn't know. And then you can share that with somebody else. And I think that should be the goal of everyone who works in the arts in general. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if that was a coherent through line that was helpful to anyone, but with that being said, reach out to me. Again, I will put my email in the chat, and please reach out to me, like, after this. Even if you don't have any ideas, even if you're not sure what you're looking for, send me an email just to connect, just to say hi, and I was in the chat, and this is my name, this is who I am. Just do it, because then when producers, when people who are theater directors and all these things, when they're looking for people to be like, actually, you know what, like, somebody sent me an email and I was talking with them a little bit, they might be right for this, we should look. And that's how things build momentum, that's how things start. And I think that it's a really vital thing to connect with people and to share what you know. And so I just wanted to thank everybody who spoke before me, and thanks for having me. And again, send me an email. I'm gonna put my email in there, and if I don't get any emails, I might cry. So watch out.
Thanks, you,
everybody.
Leah. I told you we had the best of the best. Like, my intention for this event was to make sure that we brought resources together. It wasn't to have one speaker who will keep talking and blah, blah, no. I just wanted to make sure that everybody that was important, or that I wish, let me put it that way, everybody that I wish I met when I got here, every one of them, I put them on this event to have that connection. And then we can individually go ahead to, talk to them based on our individual needs after the event. But please connect to these guys. I'll keep saying that, please. I know that after each event, I get feedbacks like, oh, I sent an email to someone before, they didn't reply me, and so I didn't bother. No, they will reply you. That's kind of like, if they don't reply you, I'll show in their dreams with some scary stuff on my face. I'm just kidding. But yeah, they would reply you. Please go ahead and send those emails. Thank you very much, Leah. Thanks for being for sharing deeply from your heart. I remember when we chatted, that was the same way I felt about everything you said, like having an idea of what some of us might have gone through, and be willing to open the door, willing to be that person that will be like, yeah, you can come in and do your thing. So thank you for sharing that. And before just as I introduce our next guest, I just want you to, I want you to, of course, like we've been doing from the beginning, I really want you to listen to her very well, because she is one of those people that you're going to be meeting if you get to that point where you're like, yeah, I'm an actor, I'm in Calgary, I need to go for auditions, or I need to go for casting, or I need to, she will tell you some of those things that you need to watch out for. And her name is Rhonda. I have the privilege of speaking with Rhonda once, and I'm so glad that she made it to this event today. Rhonda is a 3-time Emmy and 2-time Gemini nominated casting director who has been involved in casting for over 15 years. Rhonda has cast projects in Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver. Some of her credits include Fubatu, Past Chindeo, I hope I got it well, Heartland Seasons 1 to 7, CBC series, Blackstone Season 1 to 3, APTN series, The 19th Wife, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, Resurrecting the Champ, Klondike, I believe, and Cots Bank. Rhonda will be sharing some vital information on how to prepare for auditions, what you need to know, what it takes to succeed, and a couple of more things. Thank you very much, Rhonda, for coming today. Really, really appreciate you. And over to you.
Hi. Thank you for the intro. That was lovely. Where do I start? There's so much to say. I'll start with first just talking about how productions and production companies and networks and studios are putting their focus on to diversity in casting. It's a very, very big thing. It's been like that for a number of years, but more so in the last couple of years, where they really are trying to be more inclusive in their choices in, casting diversely. So more and more we're seeing that more opportunities exist for diverse performers. But having said that, we need diverse performers that have the skill set to come and really, knock our socks off in the audition room. And, Tina touched on some of the training that's out there. There's a lot of good places to train in Calgary, a lot of good people to train with in Calgary. So if you have absolutely zero experience, but really want to pursue a career in acting, training is everything. And I know that Actra will list workshops and classes and what have you on their website. And those are the ones that you want to kind of pay attention to. And there's different, Theatre Alberta is a great place as well. Theatre Alberta, I often will post notices when I'm looking for something for a particular character that I might not find in the general acting community. I will post, take out a little ad on Theatre Alberta's website and post there to great success. So training is everything. Finding the right studios to train with or the right people is important. Knowing how to, work with the script. It's not just about memorizing lines. It's about really thinking about a character's journey. Whether you have 1 line or 3 pages of dialogue, there's a lot of work and thought that goes into that preparation. So, again, theater or training is everything. Company of Rogues is another great place to start as well. And there's so many now during COVID, there are so many virtual audition or virtual acting classes that you can tap into as well. But start with Company of Rogues. They've really got their act together in terms of the virtual classroom. I've had the pleasure of sitting in on a couple of those, and they're really well done. So yes, learning how to prepare a script, knowing, the whole journey of the character. All of that is very, very important. In terms of, seeking out and getting an audition, if you don't have an agent, you're not quite there yet to secure an agent, you can always email me your photo and resume. Now, you don't have to have any experience on that resume because I will often like on-set experience. I will often look at those people who send in a resume and just see if they've got any training. Just one class, and I'll go, okay, worth an audition. I like to see that people are committed to their craft before I bring them in the room. If I'm looking for something really particular in terms of diversity, then I'm really open to seeing almost anyone, depending on the size of the role. I've had the unique experience of casting for the Canadian Armed Forces over about a course of 7 years. And what they do is they create these scenarios for their soldiers. It's called theater training for them. And they create, the one mandate that I was working on was Afghan villages. So my job was to go out and find as many Afghan people that I could to populate those villages. And they needed to speak, I don't know, Farsi, Urdu, one of the languages, you know, depending on the region that they were replicating. And so I went out to the Afghan community. I reached out to the Calgary Society of, the Catholic Society of Immigrants. I forget their title exactly, sorry. But I reach out to the different community groups and try and tap into the diversity that's available through there. But again, if you, and when I say headshot, if you're just starting out, I'm not expecting you to go and spend $300 or $400 on a professional headshot. You know, there's some pretty good people out there that can take an awesome shot with a iPhone. So just send me a recent photo of yourself, a resume, and make sure on that resume is your contact information, phone, and email. Both are really handy to have. And then, of course, you know, the experience that you might have, or the training that you have. I don't necessarily think that you have to have been on a film set for me to audition you. What I find helpful is if you have no credits and you want to get on a film set, go out and do some background work. See how a film set is run. And trust me, they're very eager to hire, you know, diverse background performers as well. Network studios, they're all very committed to representing our population as a whole. We're not all just, it's not a white population anymore, it's very diverse. So they're very much wanting to reflect that back to their viewers. What else can I say? Just to go back to the Canadian military, they changed their mandate from Afghanistan to an African country, which the name escapes me at the moment. The mandate changed, and so then we were looking into a different community locally to help find people to work in the military theater training scenarios. And the interesting thing about that was nobody, or almost, I'd say 99% of the people that I hired to participate in those had zero training, actor training. And yet they were given characters and they were given storylines that they, you know, and they were given dialogue, or they would just ad-lib their dialogue and they were speaking in their own language. So that was a really interesting thing. And I believe they're still going on. I don't cast those anymore, but I think they are still continuing on with those things. But apart from that, for film, the opportunity exists for sure. Training, just send me a photo and a resume, and you know, and if I have the right role come up, I'll try and get you in for the audition. And in terms of the audition, you do not have to be an actor member. I have to give preference of engagement in the audition room to the actor membership, but if you are a non-member, I can still see you. And this is how we grow our community and grow the actor membership and work together to, you know, have a great, diverse group of performers in the province. I don't know, have I missed anything, Toyin? Is there anything else that you'd like me to expand on? Because I can talk.
Thank you. You actually have more time if you still want to say something, but essentially, I think you covered a lot of things, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you for talking about the project that you've done before, because one thing I really love that Leah also touched base on is that she's also very interested in creating original stories. And I think a lot of people here, original stories that involves people of color, same thing that Jenna does, I know of, creating stories that from the very beginning have people in them who are people of color. So we're not just looking for them once in a while, like you rightly also mentioned, that these stories were created to involve people who are, minorities. So thank you very much for saying that, because it will give a lot of confidence to people who would go to immigrant serving agencies and they will tell them, oh, this is our better. We don't really do things like that here. I've heard that. A lot of people have heard that. So this line will give hope to let them know that, yeah, we write original stories. We write things for movies, for theater that are just for people of color. And that's amazing for you to say. Thank you.
Yeah, and just one other little story, if I may. A
Mm-hmm.
number of years ago, I was working on another film. Again, the storyline was about Afghanistan. And I needed to find a 4-year-old Afghan boy and a father. And we found this little boy and his dad, and they'd only been in Canada for 4 or 5 months. And we hired them, we put the dad to work, and it was a really, really positive experience for them. And kudos to the film company that brought the film here.
Yeah, see, so there are stories that are made. It's not just there are stories that are made for people who are not necessarily newcomers, but people who are minorities, BIPOC, and people in that circle. So feel confident to reach out, like we've been saying, like I've been saying after each speaker. Feel confident to ask questions. Rhonda is someone that you should definitely be talking to if you want to be an actor here, please. Thank you very much for sharing. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be introducing someone very dear to my heart. Valerie, thank you for making it. I appreciate you. I'm glad that Simon connected us, and it's a privilege to know you. Valerie is an award-winning actor, director, and instructor with over 30 years experience on stage and in film and television. She has an MFA from the University of Alberta. As an actor, Valerie has performed across Canada and in the US, gathering awards such as an Elizabeth Stelling Ames Award for Little Elephants, Betsy Michelle Awards for Communion and the Good Life, as well as nominations for Music Contortionist, Elizabeth Rex, The Constant Wife, Perfect Pie. As a director, some credits include Honor Beat for the Grand Theater, Queen Lear is Dead for the Fox Den Collective. She won the Best Director and Best New Script and Best Production for that. And Valerie will be providing more information about the Canadian Actors Equity Association. The reason we have her on this event is because there are times when two of my mentors actually shared this with me when they were going to go to a movie set and they were not sure. They were not particularly sure of what to expect in terms of what they're getting paid or if they're getting paid at all. I remember my very first meeting with Jenna. She also mentioned that she was like that, come talk to me if anybody tells you you can get paid. I remember Jenna told me that, like, come talk to me if you think that if they tell you you're not supposed to get paid or you're just supposed, fine. If you want to volunteer, that is totally on you. But if this is something that is professional, you should be able to say that, well, this is where I belong. And Valerie, I can't wait for people to hear your student voice. Thank you so much for coming.
See, this is what we do, hey? This is Zoom in the new age. I'm just going to leave a bit of silence for us for a second because we've had a lot of information thrown at you. I'm sure you have. And it's hard to take all that in. So before I jump to equity, I want to really make sure that I say, I echo a couple of things. You are necessary. I know that you feel that there are barriers in front of you, but all of us are newcomers at some point to this field that we're doing. And so your voice is the only voice like you. So that's important for you to know. Yes, you have to gain experience, but honestly, you come full of a lot of your own experience that is so necessary for the telling of stories. I hope you've heard that from everybody here. In our industries, both film and theater, in Canada, we are slow to invite a BIPOC and multi-marginalized community to bring their voices to bear. What I'm excited about right now is that this time we're in is really kicking out all of the supports and really making us understand that the time is now to tell these stories. And in Alberta, we need that. We need you. Okay, so I echo that. I feel like we're doing an infomercial for reach out to all these people, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so that having been said, yes, you have so many resources here on this list. I'm going to talk a little bit about Canadian Actors Equity. It's a national organization across Canada, serves approximately 6,000 people, artists working in theater, in opera, in dance, from coast to coast. And it also includes performers, directors, choreographers, fight directors, and stage managers. So I know that there's a lot of actors here, but there's equity represents a lot of other departments is not the right word in theater. Its mission, I'm going to read a little bit, but I'm going to put this in the chat. I've got 2 documents that I'll put in the chat. So I'll just read a little bit from them. It's a professional, artistic, and economic advancement for equity members in live performance. It's a professional association that negotiates, administers, and enforces agreements and policies governing minimum working terms and conditions. And they advocate for it's a membership, so it's the members run by council and staff, but it ensures members' financial security and job protection within the industry. It also provides membership with insurance and retirement through collective bargaining and collective with a large group of people. You can have insurance and retirement benefit plans that you can't have with singular people, well, for the same price point. And it also is about member resource information, support, and advocacy around the association's objectives, which is the professional, artistic, and economic advancement of equity members in live performance. What equity does is collectively bargain, scale agreements. There are over 22 different administered contracts, agreements, and policies with corresponding contracts and whatnot. And each contract includes provisions for minimum fees, working conditions, health and safety, security, and enforcement. That's really what equity is there for. Canadian Actors Equity was created by stage managers back in the 1960s. And yes, a whole bunch of white people in the 60s who got together and said, okay, well, you know, we're doing work in theater and we're getting paid nothing. You know, there's no contract put in place. There's nothing that talks about our working conditions, our hours, you know, meal times, all the things that we need as human beings. That's where it started. And now I can say that it's morphing again, because we understand that to really support the dignity of all, we need to be looking at the way we work, the way we work with each other, as directors, as actors, as co-collaborators in this artistic practice of telling stories. And so I can tell you that this council, which is 23 people, has, in our short 2 years, lived through Me Too, COVID, and Black Lives Matter to really look at our policies in regards to all three and start to make some change. As a mixed blood performer myself, I've been part of creating an Indigenous committee within Equity, because our Indigenous community is still working under the Indian Act, which presents a whole host of problems. So we've been doing that. The Diversity and Inclusion Committee has been working with really trying to push beyond this idea of diversity, because it's really an intersectional world we're looking towards, right? Where all our stories are important, valid, and excellence comes from every one of those places, right? I think it's really important, and so does Equity, that excellence in every marginalized community be valued and be lifted up and supported. So I could tell you lots of other things. What else would be? So to become an Equity member, which I'll start here. So being an Equity member really helps you to form connections and relationships in the community, but not being a member does not mean you are not an artist or you are not a professional. I want to say that too, because I think a lot of us assume that you are beginners, and many of you may not be. You may come from other countries having artistic experience, and that's what I was really excited to talk to Toyin about. So I'm going to start here. If you are already a professional artist, know that with Equity, what you need to do is send your professional resume, your CV, with a letter just outlining your experience to Equity, to our executive director, who will bring it to council, and so that we can, that is if you want to be an Equity member right away because you feel like you have the experience and you've been working in your own country and you want to start that professional career right now. You just send your CV and a letter outlining that to Equity, and they will bring it to council, and we'll take a look at that. And that's a way that you can jump in without doing a lot of other rigmarole. Equity is $1,000 to join. Usually there are, they ask for 4 credits, and those credits are, what are they, apprentice credits, which are $150 each. And as you pay those credits per show that you do, they are also added to, they accumulate towards your eventual membership. And all of this is in the documentation I'm going to send you, so not to worry. I think it's really important to think about whether you want to join, because if you are just starting out, it's a different thing. You may have a lot more opportunities for shows and to work on your own without an Equity contract. But if you know that this is a profession you want to do, and you would like to have a membership behind you, and you would like to have the benefits of that membership, which is, negotiating on your behalf, collective bargaining and working conditions, and being part of that collective community. I think it's really important. I can't say that I've ever looked back. I know that there are some big arguments as whether to join equity or not. And I think in the greater community, the discussion around professionalism is something that we all have to have. But I know that as a membership, that's what's important about equity. It is a negotiating body that is for its members. Let me see if there's something else. So becoming an equity member, there are two ways to become an equity member. You can complete an apprenticeship, which is 4 credits, or you can sign an equity contract. If you get an equity contract right away, then you can join equity. Stage managers may be a little different. The basic dues are semi-annually, so twice a year at $90. Those are basic dues. And your working dues are 2.25% of your contractual fee. And what those are for is that these agreements need to be negotiated. And having 22, this is something that I didn't understand, I think, until I fully got on council, was that these 22 agreements, as the membership comes forward and says, we want to do this way, we don't want to do it your way, we want to do it our way, we want to find a way to do it this way, then there has to be a collective agreement put together so that it protects you, it allows you to get monies. There is a contract in place so that either one of you, the engager, or you, the company that's hiring you, or you, have something in place to support yourself. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say, because I'm going to send a whole bunch of information your way after I shut up. But I also wanted to say for Tina and Rhonda and everybody else here, you don't pay anyone anything until they get you work. Agents work for you, that's true. It doesn't seem like that in a small market, but it's true. You don't have to get headshots from them. You need to take ownership and have agency for yourself. I think you know a lot more than you think. And that confidence comes from reaching out to people like us on this panel. You've got an incredible supporter in Toyin. Okay, I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to put all this stuff on the chat for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you to all our speakers, everybody. Thank you for pouring your heart out. We really appreciate it, because our community is such that I'm not just speaking for myself, and this is not necessarily about me. It's about a whole lot of people that I've spoken to, that I speak to on a daily basis. The thing about this community of newcomer creators is that we know we can do stuff, we want to do stuff, but we are not sure. So there is that doubting part that makes everybody want to say, well, do we or do we not? So having people like you affirmatively say that, yes, do this, no, don't do that, it's going to go a long way in helping our confidence. I have a couple of questions here that have been sent to me privately, so I'm going to read them out. And thank you for staying with us throughout this event, to all our guests and the attendants also. And this is for Jenna and Leah, so you can just answer individually. And I'm just gonna read it like that. So this person wants to know that okay, so the story behind it sounds very similar. He's like, when I came, the settlement agents told me to get a real job and forget about the art. And the next time I saw her, she also mentioned that the art isn't a place for newcomers in the city. What would you say about that? okay. I'd like to say something about this, please, before I hand over to Jenna and Leah. So I have these conversations every day of my life. You won't believe it. Every day with different people. And what I always tell people is this is not true. It's not true. From my experience, I know now. From other people's experience, I know. However, I'm going to say forgive whoever told you that because it is just based on what the person also knew as at that particular time. So it's also very important. I'm so glad Bernice is here and she's probably listening to me. And I'd like you to say something about this, maybe after Leah and Jenna, if you don't mind, Bernice, is that people, that has been the assumption for many years, and that has been the way it has been for lots of years. And it depends on your own individual journey. So what you're doing now is a very good step in, first of all, getting to know if you're going to find a job in the arts or not. You know what I'm saying? Being here is a very good step for you. It's something very important that you're doing. Connecting with me, connecting with ICI, connecting with everybody on this panel today is a very good step in the right direction. So it's not about what one person tells you, it's about your own research. Do your own due diligence also. So please, she mentioned your name, so I'd like you to take it up, Jenna, and then we'll have Leah, please. What would you say about that? About the fact that, she came and she was told there is no art and she should get a real job.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that settlement officer is not particularly encouraging, and that's a little bit frustrating. The arts is not an easy industry. It's not necessarily a lucrative industry, though I suppose it could be if you luck out and you get famous in some way, shape, or form. But most artists already know that. And so I think an officer who doesn't take into account your opinion, your desire, and your agency to do what you want with your life and your career is being disrespectful. That's really what I have to say. Leah?
Yeah, Leah, please.
I think you've got it exactly right. As an artist, I think you absolutely know that it's not the easiest road. It's not going to be the most lucrative road. It's also not going to be the most straightforward road. It's not going to be you do this much time here and then you do this much time here and then this is your career. And so I think, even with the diversity of this panel in what they do and what we all do in the arts, I think we all went into it maybe thinking one thing and ending up in a different place. And so having that flexibility, having different skills, having the desire to learn about things outside of maybe your direct, if you're an actor, maybe, learn things about production, learn things about what's going on behind the scene. And also don't even even when I'm saying that, don't just limit yourself to working even in just film or just theater. Learn a little bit about both worlds, make connections in all of these places so that when one place, something wraps or, a production closes or things like that, you have somewhere else to go to. If you're interested in theater, learn about, stage management or lighting or sound design, pick something else that you're interested in, because those, while there are jobs, I'm, primarily a director, but I also I've worked in special effects, right? And so I have my license as a pyrotechnician because that's something else that I'm interested in. And so, and that's something, especially early on in my career, that's what I would get hired for, right? But through that, I was able to meet people, but also learn things about working in different environments. So I've been, I've worked on film, but I've also worked for, Calgary Opera, right? And so I learned and met people through that, and people that I still connect with and talk to today. So find something else that you're interested in and pursue that, or maybe find a person you're interested in learning from, learn more about what they do, so that, I think the goal of many artists, you know, I was talking to a friend recently, and she was saying, like, you know, after working for 5 years in various other jobs and things like that, after 5 years as an artist, I really want to work only in the arts. And whether that be in an administration or anything like that, that's how I want to make my living. And she did it. And, you know, and I think that, you know, it is possible. Again, it's not going to be an easy road. And I think that there's going to be, you know, there's going to be setbacks and things like that. But I would never tell somebody that it can't be done, that there is no way to make a living. There is a way if you want to make a way. And there are people, most importantly, there are people who want to help you. That's the thing too, is I think that you have to remember that you're not alone. You're not out there just, you don't have to struggle by yourself. There are people who want to raise you up. There are people who, you know, want you to succeed. Because your success means success for the entire industry. If you are a builder, if you're a creator, you're creating for others. And, you know, if we build this trusting community where people, you know, say what they mean what they say, are there for each other, help each other, then it is a good place that more people will want to join. And also people outside of it will know that it's a supportive community. And, you know, maybe that person who said it can't be done, you can't make, if we all treat each other, you know, as well as we hope that we will be treated, you know, maybe then it would be like, oh, you're going to the arts. Yeah, actually, you know, like you know, I've heard quite a few success stories from that. Let's try and get you in touch with those people and see kind of what their path was. And so, yeah, I think the biggest thing will be the people that you meet, and being open to sharing and being shared with, I think would be my thing. So I know what you were saying, Toyon, about, you know, forgive that person. And that's the thing, is I think that a lot of people don't know, you know, outside of the arts, are just like, well, that's not a real thing. Like, what are you going to do? Paint? You can't just go and paint for a living. You can, or you're like, whatever. No one's going to hire you to just act. Like, and it's, you know, as we support each other, we support our entire industry. And I think that will help everyone. And so, yeah, reach out to people, I guess would be my biggest thing, is because you can do it. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you so much for pouring your heart out. I also wanted to add that one of the most useful things that changed my perspective about the arts was going to websites like the Calgary Arts Development website. Immediately I was introduced to that website, it was like a turning point for me, because I literally saw that, oh, okay, there is actually art in the city, because I was told that, oh, it's not, it's about oil and gas and it's about this. But when I saw that website, it changed my perspective, first of all. And then I kind of like grew from there and started, you know, meeting people, connecting with others, and trying to, you know, find a way to involve other people in what was going on in my life. Met Jenna, met Taylor, met a lot of people, and then grew from there. So please visit the, I know that Valerie put it in the chat sometimes ago. If you want to check, I can put it again just so you know, but please feel free to reach out, to visit the website, to see job opportunities. Like Leah said, sometimes it's not about, when I started out in the arts, I didn't get a performing job. I wasn't singing or performing. No, I actually worked in Arts Commons for 6 months, and I was, you know, I was like programming assistant, and that, you can imagine what that did to me. Changed my life 100%. So you can just, as long as you have it in you, you've done it before. If you need to get some experience in art administration to be able to grow, get a course in Rosé Foundation. It's very, very affordable. Very, very, very affordable. So please do your best to make sure that you connect with all these individuals and organizations. Yeah, and Theater Alberta also. I have another question here. We'll quickly take that. We have a few minutes more to go today. And this is for Eric. If you were to start over on your journey as a filmmaker, what would you do differently? What are some key attributes that has led you to this point in your business and career? What are the key things that you've done? I'm sure there were times you had to make decisions. There are times you had to choose between this and that. and circumstances like that, what would you do differently? What is something you would probably do differently?
I think I would have reached out to people that I admired and looked up to earlier on in my career, and it would have brought me ahead a little bit sooner. And those conversations ended up happening eventually, but certainly having the confidence to reach out to people that you admire, and to look into the network and to try to find people that are doing what it is that you're doing already in the community, and using those as an inspiration, and just seeking those people out.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And this question is actually for Valerie and Tina. So I'm just quickly going to take it and we're done for today. So looking at it from the angle of a newcomer who doesn't really have much and is trying to find their feet and be in the creative community, is there any form of subsidy, or is there any form of subsidized rate to join? I guess what she is trying to say is that, is there any way maybe the fees to join or to be a part of the association, is there a way it's subsidized or things like that? Especially looking at it, I get what it's trying to say from the point of view of someone that is just coming. Are there any, I know Kizzy mentioned that sometimes they have volunteers who they count their hours as fees. Are there any other ways that kind of like encourage people? So I'm sure those are kind of the information that we'll be glad to share here. If there are other ways that people can join with maybe subsidized amount or things like that. And if not, I mean, are there other resources that you would like people to check into before we go finally today? Tina and Valerie. So maybe we can have Tina first and Valerie. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, for us, there's no sort of discounts. However, the thing is the fees that you pay, and Val kind of broke it down with equity. It's the same with Actra. The fees that you pay are actually fees that you pay because you're working. So you kind of have to look at it that way, that you are earning money. And then for Actra's point of view, I mean, we're in a small market. We understand production, ebbs and flows. So we're always willing, if to work out a payment plan, $50 a month or whatever, to pay like initiation fees or yearly fees. So there's, again, it's just talking to people, stating your case, and yeah, we can be extremely flexible.
I would say for, yes, I'm speaking, hey? Yeah, okay, good. I would say the same as Tina, that right now there aren't any like discounts or subsidies for newcomers. We are talking about how to open that up within equity. Our challenge is that the fees are for the administration and articulation of all of these contracts, right? And so that can be super challenging with 6,000 members. So, and as we lose money because of COVID, to be really frank, that is even more challenging because there have been staff layoffs and whatnot. So, so that is a challenge. But there are other ways, and that is reaching out within your community to people to have coffee. Like Jenna was saying, if you know somebody who is a producer, a director, an actor that you want to talk to, myself, anyone, Jenna, I'm sure could, if you feel much more comfortable going to someone of color, reach out and have coffee with people so that you start to become much more comfortable. And I think this is about building relationships, right? This industry is about building relationships. So as Eric was saying, the sooner you start to push yourself out beyond that comfort zone and reach out and develop those relationships, the more you will find the places that can support you. Financially, it is a challenge, because as the pool of financial resources, particularly in Alberta with the Conservative government, kind of shrinks, we're all scrambling for the monies that are available. But that doesn't mean, I just also want to say, I have worked as a teacher, as a massage therapist, as an educator. I've worked in bookstores. What we do does not take away from our art. Our art is part of who we are, and it's part of what articulates our world. That's where we develop those stories, right? So please, as you're doing, if you're not working in specifically what you're doing, don't think of yourself as not being an artist. That's not the point. If this is your goal, then you will find the way. I am in that exact same boat with you, my friends, that as an artist, I have to find my way because I am a freelance artist. So I work at building those relationships and finding the things, the monetary things that are going to feed my family, feed myself. And then on top of that, I find the ways to build the relationships that are going to work and find the work in the jobs that I want to do, right? So is that helpful at all? It's kind of not saying, yep, there's easy ways for you to get in, but there are ways.
Yeah, thank you. Somebody want to say something? Okay, I thought I caught someone off. Thank you so much for saying that, Valerie. I appreciate you. Thank you for your contribution, Tina. As we round off, Rhonda, I know you've not had a chance to say another thing. I don't know if you want to add anything to what has been said just before I close today's meeting. No? Thank you. Thanks so much, Leah. Thanks, Tina. Thanks, Jenna. Thank you so much, Eric. Thanks, Valerie. Thanks, Rhonda and Kizzy. Left earlier. She had another meeting. Thank you to everyone that came around today. Really appreciate it. I will send a follow-up email to you just so you have all the resources that have been mentioned today. I have all the links together. And if you have any question for any of these people, feel free to reach out to them via email. I'm going to provide their email in the email address. I'm going to provide their email addresses in the email that I'll be sending out. Please feel free. And if you don't want to reach out, I know some people might want me to do like an e-introduction. Please feel free to reach out to me if that makes you more comfortable. And see you next time. Thank you for the support for ICI. Always have a very great evening. Thanks, Taylor. I appreciate you. Bye. Yeah, I. Thank you. Can we still have a couple of people on the line?
Hi.
How did it go?
Good. Oh, wait, I'm going to stop the recording.
Oh, we